Hello, and welcome to Empowered Journey. I'm so glad you're here today because we're going to talk about something that could completely change the way you approach challenges, turning fear into fuel. Yes, you heard that right. What if I told you that fear, instead of holding you back, could actually be the force that propels you forward? Imagine taking that tight, uneasy feeling in your chest and transforming it into the very energy that drives you toward your dreams. Now, I know fear can feel like an uncomfortable weight that's hard to shake off. We've all experienced those moments when we're about to do something new or step into unfamiliar territory, and the anxiety hits like a wave. It's that sensation of being paralyzed, unsure, and questioning whether we're even capable of succeeding. But here's the secret. Fear doesn't have to be something that stands in your way. In fact, when you learn to use it, fear can become your greatest ally. Let me share a personal story with you. There was a time in my life when I was absolutely terrified of speaking in public. Just the thought of standing in front of a crowd made my stomach turn, my hands would get sweaty, and my mind would go blank. I avoided public speaking as much as I could, but eventually it was something I couldn't escape. I had to face it. But then something clicked. I realized that my fear didn't have to paralyze me. Instead of trying to push the fear away, I started using it as fuel. I channeled all the nervous energy into preparing better, practicing harder, and giving the best performance I could. The fear didn't disappear, but it became the motivation that pushed me to improve and step up. That fear, which once held me back, became the driving force that helped me overcome my obstacles. And that's what we're going to talk about today: how to transform fear and anxiety into something positive, something powerful. We'll explore how those unsettling feelings can become the energy you need to take bold, intentional action. This podcast is all about empowering you to break through barriers and reach your full potential. Whether it's fear of failure, rejection, or even fear of success today, we'll talk about how to use it as motivation to drive you toward your goals. Fear doesn't have to be a roadblock. It can be the spark that lights the way. Let's dive in and explore how you can use your fears to fuel your success. Today, we're diving into a powerful topic: turning fear and anxiety into motivation. It might sound counterintuitive at first. How can something as uncomfortable as fear possibly be a good thing? But bear with me, because what I'm about to share can change the way you view those intense, unsettling emotions. Fear is a natural, primal response. It's a signal from your body that something matters to you. Whether it's a presentation you're nervous about, a new job opportunity you're hesitant to take, or a challenge that feels overwhelming. We've all been there. That tightening in your chest, the butterflies in your stomach, the feeling that you might not be ready. But here's the secret. Fear doesn't have to hold you back. In fact, it can become your greatest source of energy. When you feel fear or anxiety, your body is preparing you for action. Your heart races, your mind sharpens, and you become hyper-focused on the task at hand. Instead of resisting it, why not harness that energy? Instead of letting it paralyze you, use it to propel yourself forward. Fear is not a signal to stop. It's a sign that you're on the edge of something great. Think about it. Some of the most successful moments in life happen when you push through fear. It could be taking that first step into a new opportunity, speaking up when you're unsure of the response, or trying something new even when it feels risky. Each time you face that fear, you build your confidence, resilience, and strength. You train your mind to understand that fear is not a wall, but a doorway. In fact, the most successful people often don't run away from fear. They run toward it. They know that fear is a sign of growth, a sign that they're on the verge of something incredible. Fear has the potential to make you stronger, more motivated, and more focused on achieving your goals. So, how can you turn your fear into motivation today? It's all about shifting your perspective and using that fear as fuel. Rather than allowing it to stop you, ask yourself, what if this fear leads me to something amazing? When you start to see fear as an invitation to grow, you'll find that it no longer holds power over you. Instead, it propels you forward, giving you the drive you need to take bold action. By the end of today's episode, I want you to walk away knowing that fear and anxiety don't need to be your enemies. They can be the motivation you need to push past your limits and achieve things you never thought possible. So let's dive in and explore how you can turn that fear into fuel. As we explore this idea further, let's reflect on the different ways fear shows up in our lives. Fear often comes disguised in many forms: anxiety, self-doubt, worry, and even procrastination. But all of these are simply signals that we care deeply about the outcome. They're reminders that something important is on the line, whether it's your career, your personal growth, or a meaningful relationship. So rather than seeing fear as a barrier, consider it a compass guiding you toward the things that matter most. Think about the last time you felt afraid or anxious about something. Whether it was taking on a new project at work, meeting someone new, or stepping out of your comfort zone in any way. In those moments, what did you feel deep inside? Often, there's a sense of excitement mixed in with the fear. That rush you get when you're unsure of what's ahead, but still feel driven to move forward. This is your body and mind preparing you for something bigger. That fear is urging you to act, to step into the unknown, and to trust yourself. The key is understanding that fear isn't there to keep you safe from failure. It's there to push you to grow, to challenge you to be better, and to take action even when the outcome feels uncertain. If you think about any significant accomplishment in your life, I can almost guarantee that fear played a role. Whether you were nervous about that first job interview, intimidated by the thought of public speaking, or unsure of your ability to lead a team, all of those experiences were filled with fear. But instead of letting it stop you, you chose to embrace it and take that next step anyway. Now, this doesn't mean that fear goes away. In fact, it might always be there, lingering in the background. But what changes is how you respond to it. Instead of letting it hold you back, you begin to see it as a powerful motivator, a force that gets you to do the work, to push through obstacles, and to keep moving forward when everything inside you is telling you to stop. The next time you feel that familiar pang of fear, instead of avoiding it, recognize it for what it is: a sign that you're pushing toward growth. Embrace it, use it, and let it fuel you as you step confidently into the next chapter of your journey. I remember the early days of starting my business. There was this overwhelming sense of uncertainty that lingered over me like a cloud. I had just taken the leap, leaving behind a secure job, and I was full of dreams and ambition. But underneath it all was a paralyzing fear. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear that maybe I wasn't cut out for this after all. The first few months were a blur of sleepless nights, anxiety about every decision, and second-guessing my every move. The pressure to succeed, to prove myself, and to make something out of this new venture was immense. Every time I thought about it, my stomach would churn, and I'd feel that familiar, uneasy feeling in my chest. It wasn't just fear of failure. It was fear of disappointing everyone around me. And worst of all, fear of disappointing myself. I can vividly recall a moment that stands out in my mind. It was late one evening after a long day of work. I was sitting at my desk, staring at my laptop, feeling utterly stuck. The to-do list was endless, and the weight of it all felt suffocating. The thought of all the risks I had taken, the money I had invested, and the commitment I had made to myself and my family seemed almost too much to bear. I remember thinking, what if this doesn't work? What if I fail? But that's when something shifted. Instead of running from the fear, I started to ask myself a different question. What if this fear could push me to do more? What if this fear could become the fuel I needed to work harder, plan more carefully, and take bold action instead of retreating in doubt? I decided to channel that fear. I began to reframe it, not as something that was holding me back, but as a sign that I was on the right path. After all, nothing worth achieving is ever easy, and fear was just a signal that I was stepping outside of my comfort zone. I knew that if I could face this fear head-on, I would come out stronger on the other side. The next day, I took action. I tackled the projects I had been avoiding. I reached out to potential clients, made tough decisions about where to focus my efforts, and started refining my business strategy with a sense of urgency and clarity I hadn't felt before. I wasn't ignoring the fear anymore. I was using it to fuel my actions. And something remarkable happened. As I pushed through that fear, I started to see results. Small victories at first, an email response from a potential partner, a new client inquiry, a breakthrough in a challenging project. With every step forward, the fear that had once paralyzed me seemed to lose its grip. It didn't disappear, but I learned how to work alongside it, not let it control me. Looking back now, I can see how crucial that shift was. It wasn't the absence of fear that allowed me to succeed. It was the fact that I embraced it. Fear wasn't an enemy anymore. It became my motivator, my guide. The more I leaned into it, the more it drove me to push harder, think smarter, and stay focused on my goals. But of course, the journey wasn't all smooth sailing. Even as I started seeing success, new fears would crop up. Fears of not being good enough, fears of running out of ideas, fears of making the wrong choices. The difference, however, was that I no longer let these fears stop me. Each fear was an opportunity for growth, an invitation to step up and do better. I remember a conversation I had with a mentor not too long ago. She told me, "The moment you stop being afraid of fear is the moment you start achieving your true potential." Those words resonated with me so deeply. Fear was never going to go away, but my relationship with it could change. I realized that the only way to truly fail was to stop trying, to give in to the fear and allow it to dictate my actions. As I continued to grow my business, fear became a constant companion, not something to avoid, but something to welcome. It kept me sharp, kept me grounded, and kept me moving forward. Whenever I felt overwhelmed, I reminded myself of how far I'd come, how fear had pushed me when nothing else could. And that's the twist. What I once saw as a roadblock became the very thing that drove me toward success. Fear wasn't just something I had to manage. It was something I could harness for my benefit. Today, I stand here, looking back at the journey with gratitude. Without that fear, I wouldn't be where I am now. Fear was never the obstacle. It was the catalyst for my success. It was the fire that burned within me, propelling me to take risks, push boundaries, and become the person I am today. If you're out there facing your own fears, I want you to know this. Fear is not something to be afraid of. It's the signal that you're on the verge of something incredible. You have the power to turn that fear into your greatest strength. Embrace it, use it, let it fuel you. Because just like me, you can turn your greatest anxiety into the motivation that drives you to achieve more than you ever thought possible. Now it's time to shift gears. You've heard the stories, you've felt the fear, but what are you going to do about it? Let me tell you, right now, this is your moment. Fear is not something to hide from or avoid. It's something to embrace, harness, and use to propel you forward. You are capable of taking bold action today. Yes, you can. I know you can. Let's break it down into actionable steps that you can start using right now. First and foremost, let's reframe how we see anxiety. That uncomfortable, jittery feeling? That's not weakness. It's not a sign that something's wrong. Anxiety is your body's way of preparing you for action. It's your natural response to uncertainty, and guess what? It's there to help you. That nervous energy, that tension you feel in your chest, it's not an enemy. It's fuel. It's power. When you feel that anxiety rise, don't retreat from it. Embrace it. Feel it. Recognize it for what it is. Your body's way of saying, get ready, you've got something important to do. So instead of letting it paralyze you, channel it. Transform it into focused, deliberate energy. Put that energy into taking action. Whether it's making a phone call, sending an email, or just starting that task you've been avoiding, take that anxious energy and let it fuel your next step. Every time you do this, you'll start seeing your anxiety as the motivational force it's meant to be. It's your ally, not your enemy. Here's the thing about fear. It's like a shadow. The longer you let it linger, the bigger it gets. The best way to handle fear is to face it head on. And the quickest way to diffuse it? Take action. It doesn't have to be a giant leap. Start small, but take immediate action. Do one thing, anything, that will push you forward. Maybe it's writing a single line on your project, making a quick phone call, or even just doing the research you've been avoiding. It doesn't matter how small. It matters that you start. Every time you take that small step, the fear shrinks. It loses its power. You'll start proving to yourself that you're capable. You'll begin to build momentum, and that momentum will push you past the limits you thought you had. So, no more waiting. Start now. Don't let fear control your timeline. You are in charge. And today, you take the first step. We all know that fear is an emotional reaction. But here's the secret. Emotions are not facts. They're just signals. You can choose to follow the path that your emotions are showing you, or you can take control and direct them. Visualization is a powerful tool for redirecting those emotions toward success. Here's a simple exercise for you. Close your eyes for a moment. Picture yourself succeeding. Visualize yourself completing the task, nailing that presentation, or achieving the goal you're striving toward. How does that success feel? See yourself crossing the finish line, feeling proud and accomplished. The moment you visualize success, the fear starts to lose its grip. You've just taken control of your emotions. Now here's the twist. The more you visualize, the more your brain starts to believe that success is possible. Visualization isn't just wishful thinking, it's a strategy. It rewires your mind to focus on positive outcomes, and it prepares you to take those bold actions. So, before you take your next step, visualize your success. See it clearly. Then step into that vision with confidence. Let's face it, fear is usually about the unknown. When we don't know what we're dealing with, it seems much bigger than it really is. So, let's break it down. Write down everything you're afraid of. All of it, don't hold back. Every single fear that's been holding you back, every thought that's been keeping you up at night, write it down. Once you've done that, take each fear and break it into smaller, manageable tasks. For example, if you're afraid of starting a new business, one of your fears might be, what if no one buys my product? Instead of letting this fear paralyze you, break it down into smaller, actionable steps. One of those steps might be doing market research or creating a small prototype to test. By breaking down your fear into bite-sized pieces, you start chipping away at it. Each time you complete one of those smaller tasks, the fear loses its grip. Remember, fear thrives in ambiguity. The more you break it down into tangible steps, the less power it has over you. Take it one task at a time. Conquer your fear by confronting it in manageable pieces. Finally, let's make the most powerful shift of all, the mindset shift. Fear thrives in a scarcity mindset. It makes us think, what if I fail? What if this doesn't work out? But I'm here to tell you, what if it leads to something incredible? Shift your perspective from seeing fear as a sign of weakness to viewing it as a sign that you're on the verge of something amazing. Every time you feel fear, instead of asking, what if I fail? Ask yourself, what if this is the breakthrough I've been waiting for? Fear is a signal that you're growing, stretching beyond your comfort zone. It's a sign that you're on the brink of something bigger, better, and more rewarding. The greatest breakthroughs in life don't come from staying comfortable. They come from stepping into the unknown, embracing the discomfort, and trusting that on the other side is growth, opportunity, and success. So every time you feel that familiar surge of fear, remember this. It's not there to stop you. It's there to push you, to propel you forward into greatness. You are meant for more than this. You are capable of overcoming whatever fear stands in your way. Now get out there and turn that fear into your fuel. There is greatness waiting for you. Take action. Reframe your anxiety. Visualize your success. Break down your fears. And above all, shift your mindset. You've got this. Your future is calling, and it's time to answer. I know how real fear can feel. It's that tightness in your chest, that voice in your head telling you you're not ready, not good enough, or that you might fail. It's uncomfortable, it's overwhelming, and it's easy to let it stop you. Believe me, I've been there. There were times when I looked at my goals, and all I could see was the mountain of fear between me and where I wanted to be. And it felt like that mountain was insurmountable. But here's what I want you to understand. Fear isn't unique to you. You're not alone in this. Everyone, absolutely everyone, experiences fear. Every successful person you look up to, every person who's ever taken a bold step forward, they've faced fear. It's a part of the human experience. The difference between those who move past it and those who get stuck is what they do with it. Fear doesn't have to hold you back. In fact, When you choose to use it, it can be the fuel that pushes you toward your goals. It's easy to think fear is a barrier, something that stands in your way and stops you from moving forward. But if you shift your mindset and see fear as a signal, as a sign that you're stepping into something important, it changes everything. That fear? It's telling you that you're on the verge of something big, something that matters to you. I've felt the same fear that you're feeling right now. I've faced the doubts and the what-ifs, but I've also learned to turn that fear into my motivator. It doesn't paralyze me anymore, it drives me, and it can drive you too. You don't have to let fear control your life. You are stronger than it. You are capable of handling whatever comes your way, one step at a time. I'm here with you on this journey. You don't have to face it alone. Together, we'll turn that fear into the energy you need to move forward. You have what it takes. So take that first step, even if it's small. The moment you do, you'll start to feel the shift. Fear will no longer hold you back. It will push you forward. And I'll be right here, cheering you on every step of the way. Today, it's time to make a powerful shift in your mindset. You've been carrying this weight called fear, perhaps for years. Every time you face a challenge, every time you think about taking a leap, that familiar wave of anxiety washes over you and you hesitate. You think, maybe I'm not ready. Maybe I'll fail. But let me tell you this, fear is not your enemy. It is your guide. Right now, I want you to stop seeing fear as something that will hold you back. What if I told you that fear is actually a signal? A signal that you're on the edge of something amazing. A signal that you're stretching your limits, pushing beyond your comfort zone, and moving toward greatness. Fear is not a sign that you're in danger. It's a sign that you're growing. So let's change the narrative. Instead of thinking, what if I fail? Start asking yourself, what if this leads to something incredible? Instead of seeing fear as a threat, see it as a challenge. You're not running from it. You're running toward it, because you know that on the other side of that fear is something that will elevate you to new heights. Repeat after me. Fear is not my enemy. It is my guide. I use it to fuel my growth and push me toward success. You are not the sum of your fears. You are the product of how you use them. Fear can either be a weight that drags you down, or it can be the fuel that propels you forward. It's all about how you choose to respond. Every time you feel that anxiety, every time your heart races before doing something important, I want you to recognize that energy. It's not weakness, it's raw power, and you have the power to transform that energy into something extraordinary. Think about the most successful people in the world. Those who have overcome incredible odds, those who have achieved greatness. Do you think they didn't feel fear? Of course they did. They felt the anxiety, the pressure, the self-doubt. But instead of retreating, they leaned into it. They took that fear, grabbed it by the reins, and used it as fuel to push through. Now I want you to envision yourself doing the same. Think about the next big challenge you're facing. The fear is there, right? It's sitting in your chest, making you hesitate. But imagine yourself stepping forward despite that fear. Picture the power in your step as you face it head on. That fear, it's not a roadblock, it's your turbo boost. You have the strength to conquer it. You've got everything you need to turn this fear into a powerful tool that drives you toward your goals. Don't let it hold you back. Let it ignite your passion, your creativity, your determination. Fear is the fuel that will propel you to your success. This is your moment. The fear you feel now is proof that you're moving towards something bigger than you've ever imagined. Every step you take, no matter how small, is a victory. Every time you feel that surge of anxiety, remember, you are one step closer to greatness. So don't back down. Don't run from fear. Use it. Let it push you. When you feel the weight of it, know that you're breaking through barriers, building resilience, and becoming the person you're destined to be. You have everything within you to succeed. And fear? It's just the beginning of the journey. Embrace it, harness it, and let it fuel you forward. You are unstoppable. Let's take a moment to reflect and connect with ourselves. I want you to really tune into that fear that has been holding you back. Whether it's the fear of failure, the fear of rejection, or maybe it's something else. Let's bring it into focus for a moment. Grab a pen and paper or open a digital document. Write down the fear that has been weighing on your heart. What is it? Now dig deeper. Ask yourself, how could this fear actually motivate me to take a bold step forward? Think about how facing this fear head-on could push you to take action, plan more carefully, or even grow in ways you never expected. What is this fear trying to teach you? Write it all down. You'll find that just acknowledging the fear and reframing it this way can start to shift your perspective. Take your time. Let the words flow. Don't overthink it. Just write. Now I want you to close your eyes and take a deep breath. Let's release some of that tension together. We'll take it slow. Inhale deeply for 4 counts. Breathe in through your nose, filling your lungs. Hold that breath for 4 counts. Don't rush it. Just hold for a moment. Now slowly exhale for 4 counts, letting the air gently flow out of your body. As you exhale, imagine releasing the grip that fear has on you. Let it go with every breath. Let's do that again. Slow and steady. Inhale for 4 counts. Hold for 4 counts, exhale for 4 counts. With every breath, feel your body relaxing. Feel the fear loosening its grip. You are safe in this moment. You are in control. You can release that tension, and you can face this fear. Now let's move into a visualization. I want you to picture yourself standing at the edge of that fear, whether it's a big presentation, a new project, or an important decision. Imagine the fear is there, standing right in front of you. But instead of stepping back, picture yourself stepping into it. See yourself taking action despite the fear. Feel the rush of energy as you take that first step. Notice how with each step forward, the fear becomes smaller and less intimidating. As you move toward your goal, feel the power and energy flowing through you. You are courageous, determined, and unstoppable. Your actions are fueled by that fear, pushing you to be the best version of yourself. Visualize yourself succeeding, whether it's delivering that speech confidently, signing that contract, or simply moving forward with clarity and strength. See the positive outcomes unfolding as you keep pushing forward. Feel the pride of taking action. You've turned your fear into motivation, and now you're stronger for it. You've used that fear as fuel, and look at you, standing tall, moving confidently toward your dreams. Take a moment to breathe in that power. Feel the courage coursing through your veins. You've got this. Now take a deep breath again. When you're ready, open your eyes and remember that you are in control. Fear will always be there, but you now have the tools to transform it. You've faced it, and you've used it as the fuel to take bold action. Every step you take from here is a step closer to your greatness. You are powerful, capable, and unstoppable. Now that we've shifted our mindset and gained a new perspective on fear, it's time to take action. You've already taken the first step by acknowledging your fear and choosing to see it as a tool for growth. But now, the real power lies in what you do next. Today, I challenge you to take one bold step toward your goal, no matter how small it may seem. It doesn't matter if it feels uncomfortable or if you're still unsure. The key is to move forward, even if it's just a little bit. Remember, progress isn't always about making giant leaps. Sometimes it's about taking small, consistent steps that add up over time. Here's the truth. If you wait for the fear to completely disappear before you take action, you might be waiting forever. Fear is a natural part of life, and it's never going to completely go away. So, rather than waiting for the perfect moment or the perfect conditions, take action now, even if it's just sending that email, making that call, or writing down that idea. Each small action is a victory. Each step, no matter how small, is a sign that you are moving forward. The more you act, the more you'll realize that your fear doesn't have control over you. Instead, you have control over your fear. By confronting it head-on, you will begin to see that fear is not something to be afraid of. It is something to be used. And here's the most important part. By taking action today, you are sending a powerful message to yourself. You are showing yourself that you can handle whatever comes your way. Every small action you take is a reinforcement of your confidence and courage. You are proving to yourself that you can rise above your fear and that your goals are worth pursuing. So, I encourage you, right now, take that one bold step. Don't wait for tomorrow, and don't wait until everything feels perfect. Take action today and use your fear as the fuel that propels you forward. You have everything you need to succeed. Believe in yourself, trust the process, and keep moving forward. You've got this. I want to hear from you. What fear are you turning into fuel? How are you using it to push yourself forward? Share your experience with me on social media or through email. I'd love to know what steps you're taking and how it's helping you grow. Remember, you're not alone on this journey, and your story could inspire someone else. Let's keep this conversation going, share our wins and challenges, and continue supporting each other as we face our fears and turn them into the driving force behind our success. I'm here to cheer you on. To wrap up today's episode, let's take a moment to reflect on what we've discussed and bring all the pieces together. Fear, it's something we all face at some point. Whether it's fear of failure, fear of the unknown, or even fear of success, it's easy to think of fear as an obstacle, something to avoid or escape from. But what if, instead of running from fear, we embraced it? What if we used it as a powerful force to propel us forward? Here's the truth. Fear is not something to run from. It's a signal that you're on the verge of something big. It's your body's way of telling you that you're stepping into new territory, and that's a good thing. We often think that fear means we're not ready, but in reality, fear often shows up when we're about to push our limits and grow. So instead of letting it hold you back, harness that energy. Use it to fuel your actions, to give you the courage to move forward, and to help you overcome obstacles that you once thought were insurmountable. Remember, fear doesn't have to stop you. When you reframe fear as a source of energy and motivation, you can tap into its power. Instead of staying paralyzed, fear can drive you to act. It's all about perspective. Instead of thinking, I can't do this because I'm afraid, try thinking, I'm afraid because this is important, and that's exactly why I need to take the next step. Fear can be the trigger you need to push through your comfort zone and break through the limits you've set for yourself. So, what's the next step? The first part is to shift your mindset. As we discussed earlier, the key to success is not avoiding fear, but using it as fuel. When you face your fears head-on, you're actually putting yourself in the position to succeed. And this isn't just about taking one big leap. It's about taking small, intentional steps, one after the other. Each small step you take will build your confidence and show you that you can handle more than you thought. Think about a time in your life when fear showed up. Maybe it was starting a new job, making a big decision, or taking a risk that felt overwhelming. What happened when you chose to face that fear instead of avoiding it? Chances are you learned and grew from the experience, and the fear you once had transformed into a source of strength. As Robert Kiyosaki wisely said, the key to success is not avoiding fear, but using fear as fuel. This isn't about denying that fear exists. It's about acknowledging it, understanding it, and then using it to drive you toward your goals. Today, let's make fear work for us. Let's not let it paralyze us. Let's let it push us to take bold action, to reach new heights, and to accomplish things we never thought possible. If you remember anything from today's episode, let it be this. Fear is not your enemy. Fear is a sign that you're on the path to something incredible. Don't let it stop you. Let it fuel your journey. Whether it's making that phone call, starting that project, or having that difficult conversation, let fear be the spark that ignites your passion, determination, and courage. The next time fear creeps in, I want you to smile. Yes, smile, because that's the moment you know you're about to take a giant leap forward. Don't back down. Step into it. Embrace the discomfort, because on the other side of it is growth, success, and fulfillment. You've got this. Fear is just energy waiting to be used. Make it work for you and watch as it propels you toward the life and success you've always dreamed of. Thank you so much for joining me today. Remember, you are capable of more than you realize, and fear is just one of the tools that will help you get there. Let's keep turning our fears into fuel and continue to break through the limits we've set for ourselves. Thank you for tuning in today. I hope this episode has inspired you to turn your fears into the powerful fuel that drives your success. If you found value in this episode, don't forget to subscribe, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and leave a review. Your support helps us keep delivering content that empowers and motivates.